Sandhan. All Gujarat Integrated Classroom.
સેટેલાઇટના માધ્યમથી જોડતી કડી એટલે સંધાન.
Good morning, friends. My name is Bhagyeshri Trivedi. I am from the Department of English, the MS University of Baroda. And today I am here to deliver a lecture on the topic, the structure of a business letter, the occasional parts. Business letters are written for various purposes. They form a very important part of formal communication, especially organizational communication. A business letter can be written for various purposes, like I said. One is that business letters are written for both inter-organizational and intra-organizational communication. That is, they are used by organizations to communicate about projects, issues, problems or challenges within various departments of the same organization, or they are also conducted by various organizations for inter-organizational, that is between two organizations communication. The second part is that business letters may also be written between clients and customers, as well as heads of various departments of different organizations, and therefore business letters may also form part of outside organizational communication. However, they are an integral part of formal communication. Let us take a brief look at the significance of business letters. Let us look at the first slide of the presentation. The first slide says, why write business letters? The first reason is in order to maintain professional relationships. Often companies need to write collection letters to their customers from which they have to collect their dues, and for this they have to write collection letters in which they must mention to the customers how much amount is due and the deadline by which the amount must be paid. However, this letter should also be written in a polite and formal manner, so that even after making the reminder for collection of dues, the business relationship between the customer and the organization is maintained. The second reason is in order to maintain a permanent record of official correspondence. Business letters also act as documents of the correspondence that takes place inside and outside organizations. In case of any problem regarding any project or issue or challenge within the organization, a business letter acts as a record or a documentation of the various correspondence conducted as part of arriving at solutions for a particular problem, or as part of the development of a project that an organization needs to look into. The third reason is that business letters help in economical communication. Business letters usually involve sending a letter on paper or via an email. Sending letters via an email is the more preferred option nowadays, and as we all know, emails are a highly economical way of communication. Therefore, by using business letters, multiple recipients can be sent the same message through the use of minimum amount of paper and ink, or through the use of minimum amount of internet hours, and therefore they are a very effective and economical way of reaching out to many recipients, that is many receivers of the letter at the same time. The fourth reason is that business letters help to easily convey complex information. When any message is delivered through the telephone or by word of mouth or in a face-to-face interaction, all the details of the communication may not be memorized or remembered by the recipient. However, when you write a letter to someone, it is very easy for the recipient to take a look at all the details at a glance. At the same time, it is easy to go back and refer to the letter if any of the important details is lost. Also, this option can be tied up with the second reason for writing business letters, and that is in order to form a permanent record of official correspondence. So this is a brief look at the significance of writing business letters. Let us take a look at the next slide now. The next slide tells us the purpose of writing business letters. Business letters can be written for various purposes, such as to inform certain departments of new developments, new rules and regulations, of a coming up inspection, etc. They can be written to inquire about various things. For example, if you are the librarian of a school and you wish to place an order for books for the school library, then you can write a business letter to a publishing house or to a bookshop in order to inquire for the number of books available to them. Business letters can be written to make requests, to confirm how far the shipment of your order has reached, to confirm whether all the details of the order placement are being also followed by your vendor. As I mentioned earlier, they can also be used to write complaints, to collect dues via collection letters, and also in order to sell a product, scheme or service by writing sales letters. Let us now take a look at the next slide. We now come to our main topic, which is the structure of a business letter. In your previous lectures, you may have come across the standard elements of the structure of a business letter. The standard elements refer to the compulsory elements that are used in writing a business letter. By this I mean that these are the elements that cannot be missed out in writing a single business letter. These are: number 1, heading; number 2, date line; number 3, inside address; number 4, salutation; number 5, message; number 6, complimentary clause; and number 7, signature block. However, there are certain occasional elements, that is additional or optional elements, that can also be used in writing a business letter. These elements help us to convey extra information. It is not compulsory to use them, but they can be of aid to us if we want to stress on certain important aspects of the letter, such as what is the mode of sending the letter, or exactly who is the person whom the letter is addressed to, or which documents are attached with the letter, etc. Therefore, the occasional parts of a business letter are not to be used in each and every letter. However, they must be carefully and effectively chosen to make the communication more precise, concise, and more effective via a business letter. So then let us take a look at the next slide. This is our topic for today, that is the structure of a business letter, the occasional elements. As you can see, there are 9 occasional elements, that is 9 optional elements that can be used in a business letter. They are: number 1, addressee notation; number 2, subject line; number 3, enclosure notation; number 4, mailing notation; number 5, reference line; number 6, attention line; number 7, reference initials; number 8, copy notation; and number 9, postscript. As you all might have known in your previous study of what a business letter is, the format or the structure of a letter is very rigid and very precise when it comes to formal communication. Therefore, apart from learning that why is each of the occasional elements used, it is also important for us to remember exactly where in the letter will we put each of these occasional elements. Therefore, the way in which we are going to learn about the occasional elements is by first seeing where does the element appear in the letter, then to learn about how exactly is it written. Is it written in normal fonts, in capitals, in bolds, or in italics? And third, we will see a sample of the element written inside an actual letter. In this way, we will keep on adding elements in our letter till we have added all the 9 occasional parts in a sample letter. By the end of it, you will know how, where, and why to use each of the 9 occasional elements. So let us look at the first occasional part of a business letter. The first part of a business letter is mailing notation. Why do we use mailing notation? It is to highlight the medium of sending the letter. How do we write it? We write it in all capitals. And where is it written? There are 2 options: A, after reference initials or enclosure notations, and B, above the inside address. So either the mailing notation comes at the end of the letter or it comes at the beginning of the letter just after the date. An example given is by registered post, by courier or by speed post. Therefore, as you can see, the different media of sending the letter, that is the mode of conveyance of the letter, has been mentioned here. This becomes important with respect to the accounting of the expense of sending and receiving letters in any organization. It also becomes important as a part of the record of a letter. Suppose one wants to trace why a letter has not been delivered yet, then one can refer to the mailing notation and trace the whereabouts of the letter by finding out whether it has been sent through a registered post or a courier or a speed post. Let us look at how the mailing notation is used inside an actual letter. As you can see, the letter begins with the standard element of heading, which has the name and the address of the sender, that is the person who is writing the letter. Here it appears in the form of the letterhead of the Residents Welfare Association. After that, we have the second standard element, which is the date. And after that, after leaving one or two spaces, you write the mailing notation. This letter has been sent by speed post, and therefore you can see that by speed post has been written in bold letters. It is your choice. The mailing notation can either be written in completely capital and bold letters, or it can be written only in bold letters, as you can see in the sample. Let us now go to the second occasional part of a business letter. The second occasional part is the addressee notation. Why do we use an addressee notation? For two reasons. A. For letters that have a restricted readership. There are many occasions when business letters are confidential in nature. That is, they are supposed to be read only by one or by a few persons. At such a time, it is important to mention at the top of the letter whether it is to be read for all or whether it is to be read only by a specific audience. For example, when one is working at one place but one is also looking at job openings at other organizations, then one tends to send job application letters to various organizations while already working for one organization. In such a situation, it may happen that the employee does not want his or her current organization to know that he or she is trying to apply at other organizations as well. At such a time, the job application of the person will contain an addressee notation that will have the word confidential, or that will have the name of the exact person to whom the letter is addressed. This means that the recipient of the letter cannot let any other person know about the contents of this letter. The second reason for using the addressee notation is for letters that must be handled in a special way. For example, if one writes a complaint letter to an organization to complain about a faulty product or a faulty service or a dissatisfactory scheme, then one can use the addressee notation to mention that this letter has to be forwarded to the complaints department or the human resources department of the concerned organization. In such a situation, one can use the notation which you can see in the example at the bottom of the slide. For example, please forward or through proper channel. How is the addressee notation used? The addressee notation has to be written in all capital letters. Where does it appear? It appears a double space above the inside address. In case one has forgotten, I would like to remind you that the inside address is the recipient's address. Examples are personal or confidential. This refers to notations for letters that have a restricted readership. And the second example is for letters that must be handled in a special way. Through proper channel refers to a request when a person is not aware of the hierarchy or structure of an organization. In this case, if the sender of the letter does not know exactly what is the structure or who are the persons through which the letter has to be forwarded, then the notation through proper channel tells the recipient that the letter must be forwarded to the next relevant respective concerned person in the hierarchy of the organization. Let us look at an example of the addressing notation. As you can see, after our mailing notation, an addressing notation has been added which says personal. This refers to the fact that the contents of this letter must be kept within the knowledge of the recipient of the letter himself or herself. The contents should not be shared with anybody else. Secondly, it also refers to the fact that this letter is for personal correspondence and may not be for public official correspondence. That is, this is a one-on-one communication between the sender and the recipient of the letter. Let us look at the third occasional part of a business letter. The third part is the attention line. The attention line is used when A. the inside address does not include a name, or B. to draw the attention of a particular person or department to ensure quick response. It often happens that a business letter reaches an organization and may take many days, weeks, or even fortnights to reach the concerned or the correct person who should be the recipient of the letter. In such a situation, if one is anticipating a quick response or prompt action in response to the letter, then it becomes important to write the exact name of the recipient of the letter. In such a situation, we can use the attention line in which we write the entire name as well as the department of the person who is the recipient of our letter. How is the attention line written? It is written in all capitals and bold, and it appears a double space above the inside address. For example, attention Dr. Satish Yadav, production unit. As you can see, before writing the attention line, it is important to write the word attention